Batgirls issue 4, Becky Clooney and Michael Conrad writing with Jorge Corona on the art. So Matt and Carter both dropped off of this. I like the characters enough, and I'm enjoying parts of it enough that I wanted to keep reading it, although acknowledging some of its problems. And the narration and all the witty meta things the narration's trying to do is still there, and I'll talk about a couple of those in this. Uh, it's funny because like they set up like, okay, we're going to go after the guy who's using the fear toxin to control people, tonight. The tutor. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to go after him. So have the day off, Batgirls, and go do stuff. So Steph and Cass go to a bookstore locally when they're out for a walk, and it's one of the neighbors that owns the bookstore, and Cass gets a book from the guy, some adventure book, and it's all, there's some fun banter in here and stuff going on, and Steph being suspicious of the other old neighbor who comes in to buy some books because she thinks he's the serial killer. And it's like, again, I still kind of like a lot of the threads that are going on, but it is maybe spinning too many things at once, because you've got this in the first part of the book, and Steph then follows him because she wants to follow him and see if he does anything suspicious. But then she bumps into the guy that was at the party thing last issue, who Babs knows, and has an awkward interaction with him. And then when they go out to go look for the tutor, they get tailed by the group of villains that the seer is sending, the saints that are sending after them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like so many things spinning. And I was actually thinking during this issue that, honestly, an issue like this where a lot of these things converge could be really fun if like each of the elements had a few issues on their own to like set each of the things up, and then it would feel like, okay, they're all set up in the world, so when they all start converging, it could feel really fun. But right from issue 1, like all of these things have been introduced concurrently and all kind of going at the same time.
It's a bit overwhelming.
There is some fun stuff though. Like there's a great full page spread in the middle where it's Steph and Cass in costume and they're like jumping down from a building, and Oracle at the end of the previous page sort of makes it clear, keep things quiet out there, we're going full stealth. And Steph then just blabbers on the next page, all over it, minimal chatter, not going to even say it, we know how it's done, sneaky, silent, 2 bats in the night, we've mastered the element of surprise, and she's just sort of monologuing, and then you hear Oracle go, Steph, and then Cash just goes, haha, and Steph goes, see, Batgirl thinks it's funny. So there's a lot of good little bantery moments like that are kind of what makes it work. And I love the suspicions of like the neighbor who might be a serial killer. That stuff is great. I really enjoy that. So they're looking for the tutor. They've traced him to this location. He knows they're coming. He was aware there was a tracker. Ultimately, this all boils down to when they're in the bookstore. The owner refers to them as besties. You're the 2 new besties who moved in. And when they leave the store, Cass asks, "What does besties mean?" And Steph thinks, "No, it's not best friends," and it sort of explains it. And it all builds up to kind of a sweet moment later when, even though they've got filters in their masks, Steph does overcome to the toxin stuff and does get turned briefly. And Cass effectively talks her down and says, I need you, you're my best friend, and hugs her, and that's what kind of snaps her out of it. So there is kind of a nice little payoff there that's kind of sweet with Cass. I like that. I like that quite well. And then though, right after this moment, the meta narration stuff has to come in and kind of really. So Steph like has a big couple of speech bubbles, but it's covered by the narration boxes, and it's like the narrator says, "So yeah, Steph is using some justifiably strong vocabulary here to quote famous French philosopher," and then basically says what she's essentially saying, and at the end goes, "And we'll leave to your imagination what Steph's dialogue is." And I'm like, stop being cute. Like, this is just annoying me. Stop it.
Yeah.
There's a moment earlier on as well where the narration references stuff that happened in last issues, and I think it says something like, "Oh, so if you're still reading this, and on PS, thank you for reading, you're great." And then there's kind of editor's note asterisk, and then you go to read the editor's note, and it's the editor saying, "And you're fine connoisseurs of art, editor." And I'm like, stop it! You're doing meta upon meta here. Stop it! You're doing too much cute things with like talking to the audience. Stop it.
I like just by the way you described it, the first part with, a string of philosophy, but we know she's just foul mouthing somebody, right? Like,
yeah.
I kind of like that. That's kind of funny. the editor's note, if you're still reading that, like that, you're somehow negating yourself.
The if you're still reading is not the editor's note, that's in the narration, and then there's an editor note as well on top of that.
Oh, so I thought they were doing an editor's note on an editor's note to be cute. Oh, I like that even less, that it's actually in the dialogue.
Well, it's in the narration. It's not
in the narration.
Yeah, the characters, and it's third person, so it's not meant to be a character who's saying it. Right. But I don't want the writer to talk to me as if they're the writer, as if they're actually the comic book writer.
Right.
Like, if you're going to do third person narration, be an unseen narrator who is not ominous, omniscient. This is the word I'm looking for.
Omniscient.
Omniscient. Thank you. That's the word.
Got it.
I can't say. So yeah, the Saints are still sort of following them, and they've tied up Tutor, and they're taking him back to base. Oh, actually, sorry, they're taking him to. Babs is saying no, take them here to be analysed, and it turns out it's the guy who they were joking was their ex from the last issue that Steph ran into. They take him to his place, and he's going to help sort of check out the Tutor. But then, of course, the cliffhanger of the issue is after the Batgirls leave, is that this guy's, of course, he's a villain. He's got the Tutor strapped to a chair, and he's monologuing, and he says, "You failed me, Tutor." He said, "How many times do I have to tell you during our lessons I am no longer Charles Dante?" That was his name, because I mean, whatever, who cares? I'm Spellbinder, and he's got these two horns that come out of this mask that he's wearing in the last page. So big reveal at the end. So we have the Tutor, we have Spellbinder, we have Seer, we have the Saints, we have a serial killer going around. There's too much. Calm yourself. Calm down.
And you have three main characters.
I mean, I'm okay with that, but
no, I know, but now you add all of them too, and it's like there's a lot.
I think one villain that they're focusing on as Batgirls, plus the serial killer mystery, which is mostly comic relief with them.
More than enough.
Because I like the serial killer thing, because it's this comic relief thing for Steph and Cass to do during the day, and it's mostly been funny. So I like that paired with like a main villain plot. Well, but you're juggling.
It feels rear windowy, right? Like,
yeah. It's like a fun Batgirls Rear Window. But then you're juggling four main villains, so like. I'm still going to read the next one, but there is kind of like an element of like when I start reading this and go, oh, this is a lot of words I'm reading here. There's a little bit of that. I tend to be okay once I get going, but there are some rough elements to this, and I really hope it calms down a little as it goes. But so I hope it can smooth out a little bit. But there are things in there I do like, and the art is still fun and fits the vibe that it's going for. Stuff like Steph with a little love heart, like sunglasses, like peering out of them and like looking over bookcases and stuff and being suspicious of things. It's all very hijinksy, and I kind of, I have fun with that stuff.
Yeah.
So I will give this. I will give this a. I'll give it a 7. I'll stretch to a 7. I wanted to maybe go a little bit lower, but I still really like the stuff I liked a lot. So I will stretch to a 7, but it's a shaky 7. Shaky 7.